walk into the restaurant.
I grabbed a vase and I smashed it with the back of his head.
Those girls on the poster.
Papa, did you enjoy the striptease?
He was a liar. He had lied to me about everything.
I think I became a lesbian that night. Giving me a heart attack. And then he laughed.
The scream is powerful.
We're all gonna die. We're all going to die.
My daughters are giving birth to larvae, and it's my birthday.
I'm just gonna tell it like it is.
This man comes over, and he's about 73, I think. He has a little hat on, leather hat, and a teeny little thong that you can barely see. So he says, "Oh, goddess, can I rub your feet?"
If this man turns up, and he's as lovely as he is, because I'm so in love with his mind, but what if he turns up and I just really don't fancy him? Like, what am I going to say? How can I reject him?
Around 3 a.m, about an hour later, I woke up, I opened my eyes, and I saw this guy, this silhouette, in the doorway, and there was this split second where I go, "What's James doing here? That's not James. Oh my God."
Tell it like it is.
So 2 years ago, I was invited to an S&M fetish party. It was after a play that I'd done with a woman who was a dominatrix. And everyone in the cast said, "Oh, no, they just want to stay at the bar and get drunk." But I thought it'd be a really great opportunity to go to an S&M party with someone who knew what one does at an S&M party. I was very eager, and I said, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll go, no problem, that'd be great."
In July of 2000, my father died in England, and although I've been living in Toronto for 11 years, I had to go home to support my mother and arrange a funeral. One of the ways that I actually got through this extremely disturbing time in my life was by receiving a lot of emails. When suddenly, out of the blue, I get an email, and it's from somebody that I was at school with, which means the last time I had any connection or even thought of this person, I was 18.
It was 1989. It was a summer, and I was living in Edmonton. My mother was going to come visit, and it was kind of a big deal because my boyfriend and I, we'd been together like 3 years, and we were thinking about getting married, but we were getting engaged. He was actually out of town for the first day or two. We were going to tell her at this visit. It was kind of a big deal.
So we get there, and it's the Canadian Legion. Because in the play I was wearing a little black negligee, she said that I could wear that. So I brought my little negligee, but it was winter time, so I had these big winter boots on that laced up, half just sort of below the knee. And we go inside, and it's pitch black. But I can already notice that there are a ton of people there, and I can hear the screams everywhere. Ah!
So I'd been cleaning the house for days. I'd been rearranging things and stuff like that and scrubbing every surface down. I was cleaning all the little unseen places where dirt resides, where dirt lives, and Korean women can sense it.
This email was from a guy called Mark, and he was living in Los Angeles. And I did recollect him. I remembered that he had left school to become an Olympic high jumper. And he said, I'm emailing you because I noticed you live in Toronto. And I feel like we're both strangers in a strange land. We should connect. We both live in North America. I'd love to talk to you. I don't know. The emails got a bit more frequent. And I came back to Canada and he gave me his phone number at work. And I decided to call him. And we spent an hour and a half on the phone. Like, immediately. We just totally clicked.
All the men, anyway, are wearing leather thongs. Lots of women wearing kind of long skirts and corsets with dark makeup and lots of leather and whips everywhere and high heel shoes. I'm in there going, "Oh, this is kind of cool, wow," and I'm following around my friend, the dominatrix. She sees a group of her friends and says, "Let's go over here." So we go and sit down. The dominatrix sits beside me and tells me, "Okay, when people come up to you, men especially, they're the submissives, you're supposed to tell them to get lost, or tell them off, or call them ugly, or just insult them. Basically treat them like shit." I'm like, "Okay, I can do that, right? I can treat it like shit, that's no problem."
Whole fridge had to be cleaned, top to bottom, inside and out. On top of the microwave, underneath the microwave, between the fridge, on top of the fridge, underneath the fridge. You may not be able to see it, but you can feel it. And if you're Korean, and if you're my mom, you definitely know.
As the weeks went on, these phone calls became more and more frequent, and our relationship sort of hotted up somehow. I've got no idea why or how this happened, but we would talk and it would be about the old school and the memories and our families and our marriages, books and movies and films. We both loved Breaking the Waves, one of the most miserable films ever made. We both absolutely loved it and said it was our favourite film. And he said to me, well, you must be my soulmate. You just must be her.
So the first man comes around. Oh, goddess, you are so lovely. I let him tell me how beautiful I am and all that because, who wouldn't? Oh, goddess, you are so lovely. Can I rub your back? Oh, wow, no. And then the dominatrix hits me and says, come on, tell him off. Oh, guys, please, can I feel your leg? You're the most beautiful woman in the world. No, not right now, thanks. No, no, you can't. Get away from me, stinky pants. I look at the dominatrix and we kind of start laughing, but she says, no, you're not doing it right. You have to be serious.
The floors. In Korean house, Koreans have to have clean floors because in a Korean house, traditional house, you sit on the floor, you put your blanket on the floor, and it's heated. The floors are, in the traditional houses are heated. So I was down on my hands and knees at 2 a.m. because it's the last thing you do, right? They looked great. They were like shining. All those funny little sort of stains that you get in the corners or just where you get the most traffic gone. Just like,
Basically, I think we became totally addicted to talking to each other. And I didn't have anybody else in my life, and neither did he. So we became completely intensely connected. And every day was an exciting day because I knew I would get a phone call or an email. Mark was trapped in Columbus, Ohio and couldn't leave. But fortunately for me, we were on the same time zone, so we talked for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then it came to the crunch and he said, we have to meet.
So finally this man comes over and he's about 73, I think. He has a little hat on, leather hat, and a teeny little thong that you can barely see under the bulge of manness. I start getting nervous, oh no, and he kneels down in front of me. Like, I don't know what I'm going to tell this man because he looks like a grandfather. Like, how do you tell a grandfather off? It's kind of hard. So he says, oh goddess, can I rub your feet? His eyes are all twinkling, and I look at him. I don't know, and the dominatrix hits me again. Okay, yeah, you can, ugly man. And he just kind of rolls his eyes. But he's excited that I've accepted. From then on, he doesn't look at my face anymore. It's all about the feet.
So I go to bed at 2 o'clock, about that. Go to bed, lie down in my bed, sleeping. Around 3 a.m, about an hour later, I woke up, I opened my eyes, and I saw this guy, this silhouette in the doorway, and there was this split second where I go, there's a guy standing in the hallway. It is not my boyfriend. Who the fuck is it? My fist went up. This huge wind came into me. I was just filled with rage and panic and...
Tell it like it is.
It was one long, sustained scream from the minute I jumped out of bed, and I chased him down the hall, down the stairs, along the pathway, and partway down the street, and then I ran out of breath. And he was running, and I just realized that I was standing in the middle of the street at 3 a.m. in T-shirt and panties. Yeah.
So he grabs my right foot, and I have a big winter boot on, and he puts it between his legs, and he starts unlacing it slowly. He undoes the little tie, and he pulls out the laces, really slowly and gently, as if my shoe was a pair of frilly panties, and I was a virgin about to be de-virginized. So he puts his hand behind my heel, and he pulls off the boot gently. He's getting very excited, breathing heavy, like, oh. He's not paying attention to me, because if he looked at me, I'd be like, oh. So he rolled down my sock slowly, and then as my foot, the skin of my foot started showing, he's getting more and more excited. And then he peeled the whole sock off, took a deep breath, and then grabbed my foot and brought it up to his face. Shoved his face in my toes. But there's no laughing. You can't laugh because it's serious.
So when Mark asked me to meet him, I felt a whole complex collection of thoughts. I mean, the first one was really excited. I'd had a terrible year. I'd lost my father, I really felt that I deserved something brilliant, and I thought perhaps the universe was giving me this in the shape of this man. Secondly, I'm thinking, OK, he's an athlete. He's 44 and he's been an athlete, and he's tall and fit. I'm 45 and I have a child, so I couldn't emphasise the word fat enough in my emails, because I'm like, I am not a slender, svelte person. You don't want to meet me. I'm sure you really don't want to meet me. And he's saying, yes, we have to meet. Where would you like to meet me? You can meet me anywhere in the States. I will pay for you to go anywhere that you would like to go. And I thought, you know what? You've only got one life. You better live it. I thought to myself, where would I like to go? New Orleans. I would love to go to New Orleans. I've wanted to go there since I was 18 years old. And he's thrilled. Fantastic.
And then he looked up at my face and said, "Oh, goddess, what a bouquet. A Beaujolais 67. What does one say to that? You could have been a better year."
The guy was taking off, and I could see all the lights going on in all the houses around the street. I woke up 20 houses in either direction. They'd all woken up. So I rushed back into the house.
I got myself on a plane. I arrived in New Orleans and I checked into the hotel. And he had very cheekily booked us a king-size bed in a double room at the Doubletree Inn, which made me even more nervous because I'm like, what am I going to do? If this man turns up and he's as lovely as he is, because I'm so in love with his mind, but what if he turns up and I just really, really don't fancy him? Like, what am I going to say? How can I reject him? He's paid for all the tickets. Like, it was a little bit worrisome.
And then he just takes the whole foot and puts it. It's actually not funny. It made me really awkward because Grandpa was sucking on my foot. He's looking in between my toes. Lick, lick, lick. Like my foot was an apple pie and he hadn't eaten in 3 years. And then when he finished licking, he asked me if he could file my feet. Yes, sure, you can. Yeah, hurry up!
So there I was in this hotel 5 hours before he came in, and I had 5 hours to kill. I beautified myself. I spent hours in the bath plucking and shaving and tweezing and moisturising and polishing every bit of my body beautifully so that I would be fantastic when he arrived.
And I close the door and I lock it, and then I walk into the back, into the kitchen, because I want a cigarette. And I really want a cigarette. And I'm shaking. And I look at the kitchen table, and they're not there. I've been robbed. I chased the guy out of my apartment, and the only thing he took were my cigarettes.
So he opened his little lunch pail, and he took out a file, and he just started filing my feet. Filing my feet, file. Meanwhile, in front, ah!
And then boom, boom, boom. It was the cops. "You all right, ma'am?" And I was like, "How did you know it was me?" I was like, I was the only person who didn't call. Sort of a matter of, I don't know, triangulation. Like, there's a big scream. This place didn't call. It must have been her.
At 7 o'clock, the phone rings, as he said it would. "Hello, would you like a drink then?" "Yeah, okay, I'll be right there." And I went downstairs in the elevator, and I think it was the most terrifying thing that I've ever done in my life. So I walked into the bar, 3 guys sitting at the bar. "Please don't let it be him. Please don't let it be him. Please don't let it be him," because I didn't fancy any of them. And I turned the corner, and I saw this gin and tonic that I knew he would have got me. And suddenly this man stood up. I just have this impression of this huge height. And I looked up at this guy, and I went, he's beautiful. He's absolutely gorgeous.
Tell it like it is.
They're big guys. I mean, it's Alberta. Guys are big in Alberta to begin with, and cops are generally big. And so you combine that, they were really big. Like, why are they so big? So I'm standing there looking up at them. They came in, these 2 guys, and they brought dogs as well. The dogs were sniffing around. And they're walking around, checking things out. And all I can notice is the tracks from the front door, down the hallway, through the kitchen, from the back door, up the stairs, into the kitchen, all around the kitchen floor. Mud everywhere. Dog prints, cop prints, big footprints. They've got big feet. There's just... I mean, they were really helpful and they were really reassuring, and they figured out what happened, and they'd never caught the guys or anything, but, you know, they were good cops. They were decent guys, but the mud.
He was so broad and so fit, and he was the athlete that I'd imagined he would be, and he was wearing a black and white silky wavy shirt that just clung to him. And we were hot and sticky in New Orleans, and we were just laughing and laughing and laughing. Like, we couldn't believe, we were speechless. And we had a couple of drinks, and it sort of started getting relaxing. And I was really enjoying it. And then there came that awful time when I knew that he had to come up to the room. Oh dear, I'm not very good at this.
He asked what color I wanted my toes to be painted. And I said, what color do you think they should be? Oh, fuchsia, goddess. I hate fuchsia! Then make them blue! And he had a big smile on his face because finally I got it right. And he got out the blue and he painted my nails. Perfectly, by the way. And then took my foot up and then blew on my toes until they were dry. Really gently and nice.
So the cops leave, and it's about 4:30 in the morning, and I've got about 2.5 hours before my mom gets there, so I gotta clean the floors. So I pull out the bucket, I get out my cloths, and I have to redo the floors until my mom arrives. I'm just scrubbing it all down, and I'm kind of shaking the whole time.
We go up in the elevator. By the time, before we even got to the floor that our room was on, we were kissing. Passionately, I might add. He was the most fantastic kisser. I think he could get a gold medal just for kissing. What can I say? It was wild, it was intense, and we were both completely bowled over by it.
And then when he was done, put my sock back on, then he put my shoe back on, he tied it all up, and then he said, "Thank you, goddess." And he kind of just sat there, and I guess I was supposed to tell him off, but I couldn't really tell him off because it was, you know, we shared a moment. So I told him that next time he better do it better. And I sent him on his way, and then he left with his toolbox. And I just sat there looking at my foot in the winter boot, just thinking, I can't believe that just happened.
I can't sleep. I mean, I just sort of, you know, all the lights are on. I'm just sitting there thinking, there's got to be something else I can clean. There's got to be something, you know, like, God, please give me something to clean. I went to pick up my mom at 7 in the morning, and I was exhausted, and she just looked at me like, you know, what's the matter with you, you know? How come you don't sleep? Jeannie, you have to take better care of yourself. And what am I going to say? Mom, I got robbed in the middle of the night, you know, like, that would freak her out. Or maybe I did tell her, and she didn't quite get it. I can't remember.
And, and what happened? Well, we had a week in New Orleans. Can you think of a better place to be? And he was exactly everything that anybody would want in a man. He was tall, athletic, fit, sexy. He wasn't just adoring of me, like we would get into it, which was really quite amazing. And then we got to the end. And it was the day before we had to go home. And we knew it. We knew that for a week this conversation was going to have to happen. I think we had to have at least 4 gins for that one. And it went like this. I live in LA, you live in Toronto, I'm not moving, you're not moving, you have a child in Toronto, you're not coming to LA. And it was actually incredibly sad. He took me to the airport the next day, one of those taxi rides where you don't actually say anything, but you just hold each other's hand and look out of the window. And got to the airport, and I cried, and we said goodbye, and I knew that was that.
And then when the evening was over, okay, bye, see you next week. What a great time I had. And we walked out, like, back into the Toronto night.
I've never screamed like that before or since. I've never needed to. I know that in the moment, I react to protect myself, and I have the scream, and the scream is powerful. And if you have the scream, you need not fear anything. You need fear no man, woman, animal, or beast. I got the killer scream. Do you want to hear it again?
When I left there, I was thinking, did we just shared a weird, intimate moment that wasn't intimate? And I thought, no. That's not it at all. We didn't share a moment. He shared a moment with my foot. What does that mean? For me, I think what I realized on the way home is that intimacy or relating to other people shouldn't be taken for granted. There are boundaries. Some things are intimate and some things aren't. Intimate moments shouldn't be anonymous, I don't think.
In my mind, I had the fantasy, of course, he's going to ask me to marry him by the end of the week. But no, he's much more grounded than that and much more sensible. So now we are in this, what I consider to be extremely wonderful, long-term relationship where we're friends. I don't really compare other men to him, no. I don't think you could. That would be foolish. In fact, you'd never go out with anyone again if you spent your time doing that. I sometimes think that perhaps we will get together and it'll be when I'm, 70? Who knows? Otherwise, all I can say is it was the most wonderful week of my life and I'm extremely glad and extremely privileged to have had a week like that. And I think every woman should have one. At least one. And the really embarrassing thing is that I hadn't kissed anyone for about a year and my baby soft, sensitive skin got a horrible, horrible kissing rash right across my chin and it started like scabbing over and looking disgusting.
I've got a really good lizard.
Oh no, I can't.